Welcome to the next episode of Airline Imperialism. Let me explain the rules. What I will be doing is spinning this wheel and then spinning this arrow to see which way they need to attack. So let's say the wheel landed on EasyJet and the arrow points northwest, which means EasyJet will be traveling that direction to invade jet2.com. I will be repeating this process until one out of all of these airlines will win to survive. Now pick your airline and cross your fingers because Airline Imperialism Episode 4 starts now. Now, before we start the episode, I just want to tell you that we now introduce islands. An island is where considered an airline should stay there and then invade other nations to claim land onto their own and then probably get off the island. So let's say we have Airbus on the island, and then each island will have a fort. So example, this is for Airbus, and if a nation comes to attack the island, then they'll claim the island. But if the island will attack the nation and then the nation falls, then they will move from the island to here, and then another country will come to claim it. So anyways, let's go. The new introduction, which is islands. So let's go. Alright, welcome to episode 4 of Airline Imperialism, and today our first airline is going to fight, and it's Air France. And where will Air France be attacking? It'll go... it's going to fight Airbus, which means it's Air France versus Air France versus Airbus. Let's see who will win. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have Air France versus Airbus. Now, I'm doing this in Europe. I'm doing this for Europe. Now, this is the country of Europe that we're going to choose. That's why I introduced it Airbus. I know I could have done Boeing for America, but I was too lazy. So anyways, Air France is the attacker, and then the opponent is Airbus. And Air France claims Airbus's island, which means Airbus loses to Air France, and then Air France will now move to Airbus's new island and will claim the island as theirs. And now it has the sea, which means that this island is now up for sale for any airline, whoever wants to take it. So now we shall put Air France up there. So now let's input. Now we should put for Air France. There we go, Fort Air France. Alright, and now any nation will take this land. So let's just give it to Egypt Air. Alright, so now Egypt Air has Air France's old territory. Or hold on, wait, no, not Egypt Air yet. Any nation can take this extra piece of land. So let's just put it up there. So Airbus is the first KO, so now let's go again. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Airbus was the first loss. And now let's see who will be the next one to take the fight. And it's LATAM. And where will LATAM be attacking? It'll go south, which means it's LATAM Air versus Alitalia. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's an Italian airline. So anyways, LATAM versus Alitalia. Let's go. Alright, here's our attacker, LATAM versus the opponent, old version of ITA Airways. So anyways, let's see who will take the land. And the attacker, LATAM Airlines, takes the land of ITA's older brother. The knockoff version of ITA Airways is now taken from LATAM Airlines, and now LATAM will proceed on, and will spin again. Alright, ITA Airways now loses to LATAM Airlines, so now who's the next airline to fight? And it's South America's airline, Aerosucre. So now we are doing nations, South America, Africa, and Europe. So in case you were wondering. So now we got Aerosucre as the fighter, which is famous for its 727s and 737-200s. And now where will it be attacking? It'll go southwest. which means Aerosucre will claim the extra land, small patch of land right there, and won't be attacking any other airline. So let's go again. Alright, Aerosucre claimed the land of that small patch right there. So now who will be the next one to claim it? And it's Aerosucre once again. And where will Aerosucre be attacking? It'll go northeast. Which means Aerosucre is expanding its territory. I think Aerosucre is trying to become the winner for this round. So now we can now claim this land. And now it kind of looks similar to, yeah, it kind of looks similar to Wisconsin, but not close. So now, extra land has remained down here. Either Ethiopian Air or Egypt Air will claim it. Air France is just sitting at its new fort, Air France, right there. And now, Aerosucre is starting to somewhat become bigger, but Latam might be the biggest of the nations all here. So anyways, let's go again. Okay, next airline to fight. And it'll be... Who's it gonna be? Germanwings. The, what's supposed to the defunct airline, I'm pretty sure. And where will Germanwings be attacking? It'll go southwest. Which means Germanwings is claiming this large piece of land. Let's go, Germanwings. You are starting to expand your territory. Germanwings is now starting to grow the massive. Like, holy cow. Look at how big Germanwing is compared to Latam and Aerosucre. So anyways, let's continue. Okay, now, Germanwings is now starting to grow bigger. So now, let's see. Who's the next one to fight? And it's EasyJet. And where will EasyJet be fighting? It'll go northwest. Which means it's EasyJet fighting against Darling Hold My Hand. Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. But it doesn't matter. It's Jet2. Now, previously, something did beat a Jet2 holiday for our low-cost travel, which is a Novello holiday. But can EasyJet beat a Jet2 holiday? Let's find out. Alright, we got EasyJet versus Nothing Beats a Jet2. Okay, I gotta snap out of a Nothing Beats a Jet2 holiday. Okay, I gotta snap out of it. Okay, let's see. EasyJet! Many things are beating a Jet2 holiday, which means EasyJet is claiming Jet2 Airlines' land. EasyJet claims the land of Jet2.com and now will move on to be the next airline for the next round. I guess something does beat a Jet2 holiday, folks. A Novello Airlines holiday and a Jet2 holiday, an EasyJet holiday. So Jet2 is pretty much going in the mud right now. EasyJet is obviously eliminating all these. EasyJet already eliminated Jet2, so I guess something does beat a Jet2 holiday, folks. A Novello holiday and an EasyJet holiday. I wonder what else can beat a Jet2 holiday. Make your votes in the comments, okay? Anyways, let's move on. Alright, guys, the next airline to fight, and it is... I guess something does beat a Jet2 holiday. Anyways, the next airline to fight is... Germanwings. Let's go. And where will Germanwings be attacking? It'll go... northeast. Which means it's Germanwings versus Lufthansa. So let's go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we have the retired airline Germanwings versus the active Lufthansa with their 747s. Let's see who will win. Come on, Lufthansa. Come on, Lufthansa. Let's go. Lufthansa takes the land of Germanwings. Which means Germanwings loses to Lufthansa. And now Lufthansa will now be the next airline to claim its land. And now we'll move on. And we'll spin again. Alright, guys. Alright, everyone. Next airline to fight. And it's... ITA Airways. And where will ITA Air be attacking? It'll go... southeast. Bro, for some reason, I don't find ITA Airways on this map. For some reason. I guess we can just move on, I guess. So, hang on. Let me just put ITA Airways real quick. Alright, I got ITA Airways down there. So, it's next to Air France. It took Air France's land after Air France took Airbus. So, let's just move on, okay? Alright, so we got the official establishment of ITA Airways. So now let's see who will be the next airline to take. And it's Aer Lingus. Alright, and where will Aer Lingus be attacking? West. Which means it's Aer Lingus versus LATAM Airlines. So let's see who will win. Alright, we got Aer Lingus versus LATAM Airlines. Now, if Aer Lingus wins this, then it'll be the second largest nation on this map. And yep, I was right. Aer Lingus takes LATAM Airlines. Aer Lingus claims the land of LATAM Airlines and will move on to the next map. And we'll spin again. Alright, the next airline to take the attack, and it'll be... is it gonna be GOL? Nope, it's German Wings once again. Oh wait, I just realized German Wings is gone off the map. Hang on. So what was the actual winner? Oh, who's the actual... oh, it was GOL. So, alright, so GOL's the attacker. And where will GOL be attacking? It'll be going, south... east? Okay, which means GOL will be invading Wizz Air. Let's see if it'll win. Alright, GOL is fighting against Wizz Air. Now, here's the issue, though. If you look on GOL's land, Gol Transportes, it'll be smaller compared to Wizz Air. So, if it wins this, then GOL will be considered the third largest nation, or fourth. Alright, GOL, make your move. Nope, not tonight. GOL loses, which means Wizz Air now claims the land of GOL and will move on and will spin again. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, 12 airlines remain on this map. Let me hold on, let me see if I'm right. Yep, I was right. 12 airlines remain on the map. So here are our options available now. So we got Air France, Egypt Air, Lufthansa, ITA Airways, KLM, EasyJet, British Airways, Aerosucre, Aer Lingus, Ethiopian, Wizz Air, and Ryanair. So anyways, I just spun the wheel, and Wizz Air is our next attacker. And where will Wizz Air be attacking? It'll go east or northeast, which means it's Wizz Air fighting its brother, Ryanair. Only one will make it out alive, so pick your bet, Wizz Air or Ryanair. Let's see who will win. Alright, the brothers are ready to fight to the death. Wizz Air versus Ryanair. It'll all be decided on the wheel. Let's see who will be the winner. And Wizz Air claims the land of Ryanair, which means Ryanair loses to the brother of Wizz Air, and Wizz Air will claim the land of Ryanair. And we will spin again. Alright, Ryanair lost against Wizz Air. I feel kind of sad for Wizz Air to lose against Ryanair. Well, losing Ryanair. But it doesn't matter. So now the next airline to attack is KLM, the Royal Dutch. And where will KLM Royal Dutch Airlines be attacking? It'll go east, which means KLM can take the bigger piece of land or the small piece of land. Now, KLM said that he wanted to claim much more land, so we'll give him the bigger piece of land. Now, it's up to the border between EasyJet and Wizz Air. So, I don't feel good for KLM. So, let's see if it'll win. Now, the thing is that if KLM wins the entire round and it becomes champion, it'll meet beside Pan Am. And if it goes on the championship. But anyways, the next airline to attack is Air France. Alright, and now, where will Air France be invading? It must invade north or something, and it'll be going northwest. Which means Air France will be attacking Wizz Air. Travel to northwest. So now, let's move. Alright, Air France versus Wizz Air. Now, if Air France wins this, then it'll move off the island to the land, and then the island will disintegrate. And now, the opponent, Wizz Air, takes the land of Air France, which means Air France loses to Wizz Air, and now the island will now be disintegrated, and Wizz Air keeps its land, and we will spin again. I knew that this turn will end the island, but we might feature the island in more future episodes. So anyways, we will spin again. So rest in peace to the island that used to be owned by Airbus. So let's move. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, 10 airlines now are competing for land. So Aer Lingus, Aerosucre, British Airways, EasyJet, KLM, Wizz Air, Ethiopian, ITA, Lufthansa, and Egypt Air are now remaining. So I'll give you 5 seconds to make your airline pick. Alright, you picked your airline? Good. Now, keep your bet, and we'll see who will win. Alright, 10 airlines remain, and we shall see who will be the next one to fight. And it's going to be ITA Airways. And where will ITA Airways be attacking? It'll go northwest, east. Which means it's ITA Airways versus Egypt Air. Let's see if it'll win. Also, sorry if that's a Y, not an H. Hang on, let me go make it stand out more like a Y. There you go. Now you can tell it's a Y. Let's go. Alright, the next match. ITA Airways versus Egypt Air. Who will win this one? And ITA Airways claims the land of Egypt Air, which means... Alright, Egypt Air lost against ITA Airways, and we will move on, and we'll spin again. Alright, 9 airlines remain on the map, and we shall see who's the next one, who's the next one, who's the next one, who's the next one. And it's KLM Royal Dutch. And where will KLM be attacking? It'll go southwest. Which means KLM is expanding its territory for extra land. I'm pretty sure KLM is going to be the next champion. I bet that KLM is going to be the next champion. And I'm pretty sure we're going to give it a capital. Which means we're going to put the capital right here. Or actually somewhere safe. Probably the center. Where it's not surrounded by nations. Alright, I mean, it's kind of surrounded by EasyJet, Wizz Air, and now Lufthansa. So I don't think it'll be the time to establish a capital yet. So maybe later, okay? Anyways, let's spin again. Alright. Let's spin again. And now we got next airline to fight is Aer Lingus. And where will Aer Lingus be attacking? It'll go northwest. Yeah, that's northwest. Wait, hold on. It can't do that because it's just going to drown. We'll spin again. And where will Aer Lingus be attacking? They'll go southwest. Which means Aer Lingus will travel southwest to invade EasyJet. Let's see if it'll win. Alright, Aer Lingus versus EasyJet. Who will win? And EasyJet takes the land of Aer Lingus, which means EasyJet claims the land of Aer Lingus and will move on to be the next airline to fight. And we shall spin again. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, EasyJet is basically just surrounding KLM right now. I don't know so much about KLM, but Wizz Air is just underneath him and Lufthansa is just next to him, only a little bit. But anyways, let's go. Alright, 8 airlines remain. Let's keep it going. And Lufthansa. Lufthansa is the next attacker. And where will Lufthansa be attacking? It'll go north. Which means Lufthansa will be claiming extra land up here. And we will move on. Lufthansa is actually starting to grow bigger by the moment. I think EasyJet is already #1 biggest. Alright, the next airline to fight is going to be Wizz Air. Alright, Wizz Air is the next attacker. And where will Wizz Air be attacking? It'll go north. Which means it's Wizz Air versus KLM Royal Dutch. And we'll spin again. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, the attacker Wizz Air versus KLM Royal Dutch. And we shall see who will spin. And Wizz Air claims the land of KLM, which means KLM loses to Wizz Air, and now Wizz Air will expand its territory, and KLM loses to Wizz Air, and we shall spin again. Alright guys, 7 airlines remain on this map. So we got EasyJet, Aerosucre, British Airways, Wizz Air, Ethiopian, Lufthansa, and ITA Airways. Now I'm going to give you 8 seconds to make your decision on these airlines. So time starts now. Alright, make your decision. Alright, one of these airlines will win. So anyways, let's spin again. And Lufthansa is our next contestant. And where will Lufthansa be attacking? It'll go southeast, which means Lufthansa is attacking Wizz Air. We'll see who wins. Alright, we got Wizz Air versus Lufthansa. Now, who will win this time? Also, I mean chicken. And Wizz Air claims the land of Lufthansa, which means Wizz Air takes the land of Lufthansa and will move on to be the next airline. And we'll spin again. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Wizz Air is already starting to become the first biggest nation of all of these airlines. And we'll spin again. Only 6 airlines remain on the map, and we shall see who's the next one to fight. And it's Ethiopian Airlines. Where will Ethiopian Airlines be attacking? It'll go west, which means Ethiopia's going to try to attack Wizz Air, and we'll see if it'll fight. Alright, Ethiopian Air versus Wizz Air, and we shall see who will win. And Wizz Air claims the land of Ethiopian. Wizz Air takes the land of Ethiopian and is starting to grow its territory once and all. And looks like Ethiopian lost against Wizz Air, meaning only one South American airline, Aerosucre, is the last one remaining of its kind. And British Airways is barely doing anything up there, meaning maybe British Airways will take back it's their land of these fallen airlines, so we'll see again. Only 5 airlines remain on this wheel, and let's see who's the next one to make its move. EasyJet. Alright. And where will EasyJet be attacking? It'll go south, which means EasyJet will be invading Wizz Air. Let's see if it'll win, take back its land, and probably take vengeance for all other airlines. Let's see. Alright, EasyJet versus Wizz Air. 2 low-cost carriers, and let's see who will win. Wizz Air is definitely going to be winning. Wizz Air takes the land of EasyJet. Wizz Air claims the land of EasyJet and will move on to be the next airline. And actually, that extra land is now in Wizz Air's territory. And EasyJet lost against Wizz Air. And we shall spin again. One side, put down W, exclamation mark, ZZ. Alright, Wizz Air is now the biggest nation out of ITA Airways, Aerosucre, and British Airways combined. And we'll spin again. 4 airlines remain on this wheel. Who's the next one to attack? Aerosucre. Let's go. And where will Aerosucre be attacking? Northwest. Which means Aerosucre will be invading Wizz Air. Let's see if it'll take it back its land. And we'll spin again. Alright, Aerosucre versus Wizz Air. And we shall see who is the next airline to attack. Wizz Air loses Sucre takes the land of Wizz Air and now is the largest of nation in this map. And we will move on and we'll spin again. Alright, 3 airlines remain. Only one of them will survive the championship round. And now let's see. British Airways is now making its move. And where will British Airways be attacking? It'll go southeast or west. Which means British Airways is going to be invading Aero Sucre. Now, I'm going to give British Airways this last piece of extra land so that it'll be slightly larger. And that Aero Sucre might be hungry for that land. And now, British Airways will claim the land, will try to attack Aero Sucre, meaning ITA Airways will be the last one standing. And will be a 3 tally mark match between ITA Airways or British Airways or ITA Airways versus Aero Sucre. And we'll see who will survive this last round. Alright, British Airways versus Aero Sucre. And now, who will be the last attacker? Aero Sucre takes the land of British Airways. British Airways loses to Aero Sucre, and now Aero Sucre is the biggest nation, and meaning ITA Airways will have to face off Aero Sucre. So let's see, 3 tally mark time. Alright, Aero Sucre versus ITA Airways. Aero Sucre, it's your turn. Alright, approve. Number 2. Nope. Alright, last one. And it's a yes. Alright. Aero Sucre's code is YNY. And now, ITA Airways, it's your turn now. So now, let's see. ITA Airways, who will be the winner? Also, nuts. Specifically, almonds, this thing, and cashews and all that. Anyways, alright, starts off with a no, which means it's an L. Alright, okay, next up. Alright, next up is a yes. Yes, okay. Yes! Alright, it only needs one more yes to be matching with Aero Sucre's code. And yes, it will. It's a tie, alright. So we're going to need another one. Aero Sucre, start off. Alright, Aero Sucre. Oh, that's a Y.
It's been nice today, but
and next up.
Yeah, the trees all.
And
I got trees over here.
yeah, wow. And ITA Airways lost against Aero Sucre. Wanna know why? 2 Y's versus 3. Which means Aero Sucre loses to ITA Airways. And now our champion is Aero Sucre. Ladies and gentlemen, here's our champion, Aero Sucre. Now, how do you feel, Aero Sucre, for being our champion?
This week.
Anyways, peace out, and let's see our new champions for the finale. So, our champions we have Pan Am, FedEx, Play Air, and now Aero Sucre. Second time a charm, Aero Sucre. So stay tuned for 2026, and Aero Sucre might have the chance of being your champion. So anyways, peace out.